Do you know what the wonderful thing about blood is? The vampire asked the bound Stormcast Eternal. His tone playful, which only seemed to enhance the dark atmosphere of the fortress dungeon. The Stormcast, even if he was inclined to answer, was unable to do so. He was stripped of armor and weapons, his dignity only saved by a strip of leather around his waist. His hands and feet were bound tightly by chains to the dusty and corroded stone wall, and his mouth was gagged by a rotting, but somehow still moving, strip of flesh. "It's taste," the vampire continued. "Every person's blood tastes different. Most wouldn't notice it. Many with the Soulblight gift could care less from which person the blood beats. But a special few of us could tell a lot from blood. Where a person has been, their dreams, their goals, as well as some of the powers and abilities they possess. Which is why you're here. I have heard much about the Stormcast Eternals, coming forth to free all the lands from the taint of chaos. Powered by Sigmar with special gifts. As a man of the arcane arts, I had to wonder what really sets you apart. I had to study your abilities, which meant I had to isolate you, my first test subject. Now, I'm sure you're thinking to yourself that you better find a way to escape, or perhaps even kill yourself, to prevent me from somehow using your blood against your fellow warriors. A noble idea, but I can't really allow that. So, I have a proposition for you. Turning to the open door of the small room, the vampire raised his arm and beckoned towards the entrance. "Come in, my dear." Shuffling in, her terror obvious with every step, was a young woman. Slowly moving to stand in front of the creature, she soon stood frozen, perhaps afraid of taking any further action for fear of retribution. The vampire almost flowed behind her, his hands resting gently on her shoulders and his mouth moving uncomfortably close to the woman's ear. "Are you well, my dear?" he asked. The woman barely nodded, her eyes staying downcast, refusing to look anywhere but the dirt of the dungeon floor. "Wonderful. Now, my lovely, you have family here, correct? Staying at my abode as my guests? 2 sisters and 2 brothers. Are they being well taken care of?" With another confirmation from the young woman, the vampire allowed a note of relief to enter his voice. "Good. Good." He turned his head towards the bound Stormcast Eternal and slowly moved his hands up from the woman's shoulders. When both hands were on either side of her head, covering her ears, the vampire smiled, then oh so slowly began to squeeze. The young woman screamed, trying impotently to escape the grasp of the vampire. She might as well have been trying to move the hands of a metal statue, the arms unmoving despite her struggles. The Stormcast Eternal himself was raging, straining against his restraint and screaming into his gag, the pressure he placed on his bonds causing the flesh of his wrist and his ankles to be coated in blood. Eventually, the screaming stopped and the life left the young woman's eyes. At that, the vampire paused. His smile broadening, he tilted his head slightly, and then clapped. Snapping his hands together and bursting the once living head, leaving blood and gore to splatter on the walls and floor. Flicking the remains of the dead woman from his hands as if he was simply removing some spilled wine, he continued speaking. "If you escape or try to die so your body and soul flees back to your god, my 4 guests will die. And I will not be as merciful or quick as I was with her. Do I make myself clear?" The only answer the vampire received was a glare of hate. For now, that would have to do. Learning to break these Stormcasts will have to come later. Turning away and heading back to his chambers, the vampire lord began to think of what fun experiments he could conduct with Stormcast blood. To many, the Soulblight curse could be considered a gift, a path to power that could guarantee eternal life and abilities both magical and physical that could make you an unstoppable force of nature. It comes as no surprise that many who spend their lives gaining such power, such as royalty, would love the idea of becoming soul-blighted. But there is a reason such power is called the Soulblight curse. While gifted with power, they lose what many would consider aspects of humanity. Character traits such as empathy replaced with unsatiable thirst for blood and an urge to play with those beneath them like a cat would play with a trapped mouse. The most powerful and well-known of those afflicted are the vampire lords, former kings and queens who, when given the Soulblight curse, turned their former kingdoms into undead empires. The former nobility turning into vampire thralls such as blood knights who lay waste to their enemies, or handmaidens who travel with their mistresses on coven thrones to search for more victims. However, a sense of nobility is not inherent in the Soulblight curse. Many afflicted become mere beasts, hunting down prey like the predators they truly are. These Vargheists, although monstrous in comparison to vampire lords, have a power all their own, and vampire lords would be foolish to not use such potentially valuable tools. Along with cursed beasts, such as large fell bats and smaller bat swarms, they slaughter enemies with brute strength and sharp fang. To be a Soulblight is to be an undead lord of blood, to lay down your enemies with legions of cursed souls while feasting on the blood of the living. Hey guys, this is Arvandis, and I want to say I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like these short stories / descriptions of various races in Age of Sigmar, please like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll keep doing it. Not only Age of Sigmar, perhaps other games that I have interest in. Anyway, thanks for listening, and see you next time.